21 games he played with Russ and AD. Let's bring NBA analyst Tim Legler in. Tim, there's so many questions I want to ask you. First, what stood out to you as you were listening to LeBron a few minutes ago?
I think more than anything else, Jay, it was LeBron James saying that this was not a failure. I don't know how he could possibly come to that conclusion, because you look at their record, that's obvious. There wasn't a lot of winning going on. This was not something that was a major success, pairing three-star players together. But when you do lose, the only way you can say that it's not a failure is if you are building towards something. I don't know what was built this year. You think about it, they don't have a head coach as we sit here. There is really no indication that Russell Westbrook and LeBron James can seamlessly play together. There are no young players really on their roster that you're really excited about that they developed this year that are going to be part of the rotation going forward. So when you have a team with LeBron James at this stage of his career, every year you don't win at a high level. It doesn't mean you have to win a championship every year, but you certainly have to be relevant. And any year in which you aren't relevant is not just a failure, it's a complete disaster. So for me, to frame it in a different way than that, I think that jumped out to me when he said that. He's obviously frustrated. He's disappointed. He's very resigned to the fact that his offseason is going to start. He's going to have to watch 2 months of postseason basketball, and the Lakers aren't included. It's a rare feeling for LeBron James. But I think there's no question about it. This was a disaster, and now you're talking about going back to ground zero and trying to figure out what do we do going forward, starting with, it looks like, a new head coach, even though as we sit here right now, we don't believe Frank Vogel has even been told he won't come back yet.
What do you think about the decision? Woj is reporting that he's not going to be there next year.
Yeah, listen, I think a lot of the blame is going to fall very unfairly at Frank Vogel's feet, because when you look at the hand he was dealt with, the roster that they put together and the injuries on top of it, what did you expect Frank Vogel to do? I mean, really, the three stars played 21 games together. This was not a roster that was built to have any interest in the regular season, because the main crux of their rotational players were veteran guys toward the ends of their careers that are not going to put a lot of emphasis on winning games in the regular season. And in the Western Conference in particular, if you're going to try to dig yourself out of coming from the 7-hole as they did last year and they got bounced in the first round, or you're going to try to figure out some other seeding scenario this year to get in, survive a play-in, and then get dealt, the Phoenix Suns in the first round and get smoked again. This is Frank Vogel did the best that he could with what he had at his disposal. Pieces that didn't fit, an older roster, no young legs, not a defensive-minded team, and then on top of all of that, a ton of injuries to try to navigate around and manipulate. So I think Frank Vogel is an excellent coach. He's got a championship on his resume now. He will coach again in this league. And I think he could end up going to a team maybe that's more like in that 500 range that needs more development, needs more on the defensive end of the floor. Frank Vogel can help be a guy to get a team to the next level that's already a mediocre team. He can make them better. To give him this hand and expect him to make something out of it, completely unfair that he will end up being the fall guy for this.
All right, much more with Tim Legler after the break. We have many more questions to ask you. Thank you, Tim. I'll see you in a few minutes. Hannah?
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.